What's going on, guys? I'm over here in Hawaii. It's my last day over here. We fly out tomorrow. It's been really fun. We went up to the Waimea Canyon yesterday and we got to see some amazing views. Also saw the market had some big moves in it, including some stocks that I personally invest in, including Andis and Soundhound. So we're going to look at Andis, Soundhound, Regetti, IonQ, and a couple other stocks that I picked that are moving, including we have earnings coming up for BBAI. We have earnings coming up next week for Regetti. And I have an interview with the Veritone CEO coming up as well. So we're going to look at Veritone's charts as they reported earnings as well. Taking a look at the quantum watch list here, we see that Skywater is still doing absolutely incredible. 9.5%, unbelievable. This was a $6 stock when I started covering it, so it's more than doubled. IonQ had maybe a little bit of a delayed earnings reaction at a 3% day. Google is now over $200. I actually thought Google was worth over $200 the day they reported earnings, but it took them a while to get there. NVIDIA continues to trickle up, and Regetti and D-Wave had a little bit of sell-off, but nothing too crazy. The heat map is really green for Friday, with a lot of tech doing really well. Palantir continues to be on a tear, and this square keeps getting bigger because its market cap keeps getting bigger, and that's what scares me. So I personally have been cashing in on my shares of Palantir and kind of slowly getting out, as I feel like the valuation is just getting out of hand. The same argument can be made for a lot of quantum stocks as well. And Palantir just keeps proving the bears wrong over and over. Apple is doing incredible. I know a lot of the sentiment around Apple was pretty washed out going into this earnings. And I always look at washed out sentiment as an opportunity. So I actually bought a lot of Apple before this earnings, just because it just seemed that Apple's always an inexpensive stock, but it seemed to be a little bit less expensive. It was about $50 off from its all-time high. And the wider sentiment was they're not innovators, they're not doing anything, and there's a lot of negativity out there. They had a great quarterly, and we're having a little bit of a delayed earnings reaction for Apple, but I think Apple is a fantastic company in the Mag 7. So taking a look at earnings for the upcoming week, I know a lot of you are in Big Bear. We have Archer, so I'm going to look at Archer's chart as well. I forgot Archer is coming up. Microvast, Plug. I've talked to you guys about Plug before, so we better open those charts as well. Regetti's on Tuesday. And looking later in the week, are we in anything else? I also like to look at this view. So we had Castellum report, Fubo report, Archer's coming up. We just covered that, and Andis is actually reporting as well. So I'm gonna open both of those as well. Let me just get those tabs open right now so I don't forget. So we're going to look at Archer, which I have quite a bit of open interest on Archer as well. And we're going to look at Plug. All right, so let's start with Soundhound, because this thing is a freaking beast. They came out and they had their best quarter ever as far as their revenue, and this thing just gapped up to $14. It got rejected off of 14, 18, 14, 20 a couple times. We're going to look to the left and see, and contextually look at the volume. So we had this huge volume candle, this massive gap up, and you can see even going into earnings, sentiment was kind of washed out, and Soundhound came and delivered the goods. So really what I see for Soundhound is it rejected kind of off of this 1424 level. I would like to see it get above 1424, close above 1424, and then 1557 would be the next level, 1790 would be the next level. And then could it go and retest that all-time high? And the numbers are much better than they were back here when Soundhound was holding this $20 plus position. So could Soundhound retest that all-time high? Well, we'll see. All right, so Big Bear. So I know a lot of you are in Big Bear. I'm in Big Bear. And it's been honestly very nice to see Big Bear create some price history in this $6.28 to $8.63 zone. I've talked about this before, but this sharp rise and then sharp fall, when a stock moves in an unhealthy way, it tends to move down in an unhealthy way. So what we've seen here is we've got a little bit more of a nice trading up and down, up and down. So we've had people take profit at $8 or $9 and then it sells down to $6. And we've had some pretty bad market days, but it really hasn't given up this gap down here. And if we get closer, we can see it's holding in this area. We closed at $7, so right in the middle here. And what's coming for Big Bear? I mean, for Big Bear, we know that there's the carry forward. So they, on their last earnings, they said there were some checks that hadn't hit the bank. So they're past their legal woes at this point, and they just had the military operation. I believe it was in New Zealand or Australia. And I think it's called Exercise Talisman Sabre is what it's called. And we don't know if they got any military contracts from that. We haven't seen any huge news from Big Bear. The earnings themselves, and I think the company and the new leadership with Kevin is definitely aware of the amount of tension Big Bear, a lot of attention in the stock market that Big Bear is getting. So hopefully they come and deliver the goods or deliver guidance, or better yet, both beat and raise. If we can get a beat and raise quarter out of Big Bear, that would be incredible. So what we'd be looking at in that case, if we got a beat and raise, I think we're easily getting above this 1043. And I think the next stop would be looking at something like that 1607. Wick touch would be the all-time high for Big Bear, which would be incredible because we've been on this journey all the way since down here in the twos. It feels like it's been quite the journey for Big Bear, and it's still a volatile stock. It's gone up and down, you can see historically. So if you've made some profit with Big Bear, consider setting a stop loss. A lot of people don't know this, but you can go into your brokerage account right now over the weekend and you can set a stop loss. You can set a trailing stop loss on any stock to secure profit. So if you're like, you know what, if it goes below this point, I'm just going to cash out, and that's something that would be smart to do if you're worried about it moving back down. So in the bear case, I could see it coming back down to $5 and maybe bouncing off $5. In a base case, I think we kind of just chop around this $6 to $8 channel. And in a bull case, kind of what I was talking about before, I think we explode and maybe pass all-time highs with Big Bear before some profit taking happens. So I'm very excited to see Big Bear's earnings. All right, Veritone AI. So we know that Veritone, so first Gene had brought up Veritone on the channel and it got me interested, so I threw a few bucks at it. This used to be a $47 stock in 2021. Then in late 2021, it was a $36 stock. Then the exodus started happening, the pain started happening. So in March of 2022, this thing was a $19 stock. Then in 2023, it was a $10 stock. It had what looked like a turnaround where it touched $7.76, but it's been holding kind of a bearish downtrend since then. So when I talk to the CEO this coming week, I'm going to ask some questions just about the history, the earnings history, and what challenges the company has had. If you guys have any specific questions for Veritone or that I should ask the CEO in that interview, go ahead and leave them in the comments. I'm not an expert at this company, about this company by any means. I do know that earnings were received well, and we can see that even from August 7th to present day, we've had a 28% move, so not a trivial move. The key for this one, you guys, is like every single time, if historically you've thought you've been in a turnaround with Veritone, it's disappointed. So it's definitely broken this bearish downtrend, at least for the time being. I'm still a little skeptical, so I go into the interview with a lot of questions and a lot of curiosity about this company. All right, let's take a look at IonQ. So IonQ, at this point, I've called this sort of flagpole for a potential bull flag, but we just had earnings and the stock didn't really move significantly one way or another. So what I'm seeing now is we're just kind of trading sideways between this 40 and 45 position, which, if any of you use the wheel strategy, which is basically when a stock is predictable and is kind of range bound, then a wheel strategy can be really profitable. And this is looking like IonQ right now, at least, is potentially a candidate to run the wheel. I've never done that before, but I'm not sure what the catalyst is going to be for IonQ to get out of this zone it's been in for a little while. It's great. It's fantastic that we're getting so much price history between this 44 and 48, and we're definitely what we're seeing is 42 is coming into play quite a bit. So if I show you guys, 42 is actually where we rejected in this last session, and it's been a point of both resistance and support for IonQ. So IonQ has a lot of work to do to get above 44 and then above 48, and then to retest its all-time highs. And I mentioned this before, but I was actually predicting a bigger move out of IonQ. So now I'm curious to see what sort of catalyst they will have to push the stock up. I do think I'm still incredibly bullish long term. It's just a little less clear to me in the short term what is going to happen with the IonQ stock. I could see it trading sideways in this range between 36, where we found support, and 44 for a while until there's something that directionally moves it. Okay, Andis. So Andis has been on an absolute tear. So we're going to go back to March, and I'm going to show you this move. So our very own Gene Inger gave us Andis, and he was on earnings call when no one was talking about Andis, and he's talking about Andis, and now the stock has returned 500% in just a few short months. And if we look at the 5-year, actually we do have considerable price history with Andis above this current level of this $3.55 where we close. We have $8 price history, we have $10, we have $14, we have lots of volume that's come into the ticker. And personally, I've been buying drone stocks like Red Cat and UAVs, an American company, and this Andis company, just because it doesn't seem to me like there are going to be less drones in the future. In fact, there was a successful military operation that Ukraine carried out on Russia that used drones, and it seems like the warfare of the future is going to involve drones. So we've seen the sector pick up a lot of momentum, and we're seeing candles like this. So what is coming up for Andis this week? If they have earnings, hey buddy, my little nephew's pointing at me through the sliding glass door. There's a lot of levels to watch for Andis. I mean, there's still potentially a lot more upside. Now, if they are to miss, we'll see what investors' appetite is to stay in the ticker. Very much looking forward to Andis. All right, so Regetti. I'm very happy with Regetti going into earnings, because where we are with Regetti is we're already in an elevated position with Regetti. The market has given Regetti now a $17 price. It's held for a couple of trading days, and we're holding above this $15. For a very long period of time with Regetti, we were between this $6.94 and $15 position. So it's only recently where we've been trading above 15, and before that there was only a few trading days where we're above 15. So we're getting some nice price history and support at the $15 level. We see this dip down. We almost gave back this flagpole, and then we've bounced back up and held and closed above 15. So Regetti is looking really strong going into earnings. And if we just kind of run a scenario here, I just want to show you guys from the current point that it is to that all-time high, there's still 35% upside, and that's if it doesn't blow off top and move higher. We know Regetti has earnings coming up. That's a big catalyst for Regetti, and we know they're going to release their 36-qubit chip on August 15th, and that's new hardware that wasn't available to the public before. So Regetti is looking very strong at this point in time. I was impressed with all of the quantum stocks, especially through D-Wave and IonQ's earnings. Even just holding their ground is amazing. All right, Archer Aviation. So this one has been one that has been a bit of a roller coaster, to say the least. So we've had multiple touches at $13, $14. This was after the CEO went on the Late Show and got everyone excited about the LA Olympics. Then it dropped down to 10. It consistently seems to find support at 10 or just a little bit under. So we're going into earnings this week kind of where, again, sentiment is washed out. It's at its support level. It's been trading at $10 for a long time, so it's been sideways money since November of 2024. Now, the question is, can Archer have a serious breakout like Joby? And it's all going to depend on earnings and guidance and kind of what they say on the earnings call. And we even know Joby had some sell-off today after its meteoric rise. It's been finally breaking down a little bit, if you want to call it a breakdown, at 1664. So I am personally very curious to see what happens with Archer earnings and what they say on the earnings call, and if investors like what they hear. I do think eVTOL is a massive opportunity, a massive buying opportunity for our generation, as for military and alternative form of taxi and travel. This is just a very obvious evolution of travel and aviation. So I'm looking forward to the evolution of the eVTOL industry. And finally, Plug. So Plug is moving in an upward trend, but not with enthusiasm. I've covered Plug before. We're at $1.50 with Plug, and we were down at 70 cents. So where we closed today is still up 118%. So maybe Plug can come in and they can give us a better guidance. Maybe they can have a good earnings that show there's potential for the company to have a turnaround story. This is kind of one where, if you look back, this was a $75 stock. So it's kind of giving me Veritone vibes. And when you enter stocks like this at the bottom, there are a lot of levels to reclaim on the way back up. But of course, it's shown that the sentiment was at an all-time low at 70 cents. And that the stock can move down on a poor earnings. So it could definitely give back its recent gains. All right, guys. So that is everything I have for you. I'm going to get back out into the ocean and enjoy the weather out here. I am super excited. I think I mentioned on my last video, I'm going to be attending this Quantum plus AI conference. So I've included a link. So I'm a media sponsor for the upcoming Quantum plus AI conference in New York. If you go over to the sponsors and exhibitors, SEAL-SQ is a diamond sponsor, and there's Quantum Bull right there, pretty awesome. And if you all are interested, I do have Discord, and I do have channel memberships here, and I do post specific member-only videos. And I've been posting more and more of them. So please consider joining the membership here on YouTube. You can just go to the YouTube channel and click the plus button next to subscribe, and that is how you join. Would love to see you in the Discord, and we've got a great community over there. All right, guys, mahalo.